Hey there! So today I want to talk about my favorite cross-stitch pattern making tool, Stitch Fiddle. This is not sponsored, I talk about it in every single video I mention Stitch Fiddle. I would love to be sponsored by them one day because I really like this tool, but anyway. So I made a video about pattern making and I showed how I use this tool here and there a little bit. But today I want to really go in depth and show you everything that I learned about it and every tips and tricks that I have. And oh, if you like this cross stitch color, then check out my previous video. I showed there how to make it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I went to stitchfiddle.com. This is the website, you probably know it. I made a new account for this because I have a premium account, but first I want to show you what it looks like when you don't have a premium account. We are here for making a cross stitch pattern, so I'm gonna choose that option here. And here you have option for a floss that you're gonna use, and I don't use any brand that is listed here, but I have a few DMC flosses and I really like their color palette, so I'm gonna just use DMC. And here you choose how I want to start. You can create a QR code. It's not really a rocket science, so I'm not gonna talk about it. You can start from picture, and I made a whole separate video about it, so check this out if you're interested in starting from a picture. And you can choose an empty chart, aka your own design. That's what I'm gonna start with today. And you should specify what grid size you're going for, and it really depends on the size that you want, so you can figure out maybe what frame you want to put your cross stitching in. You have a size calculator here, so for example, I live in Europe, so I use centimeters, and I usually cross stitch on 4 count ADA, so I'm gonna use it. And let's say I want to put my finished design in a photo frame 10 by 15 centimeters. Yeah, so they counted that I need 140 by 210 stitches. So I will just go and create that, but obviously you can just use any grid, and usually I go for a little bit bigger than the finished object that I'm gonna use, the finished frame, because I like to have more space for copying and experimenting. I will just start with that 140 by 210, so I'm gonna create my chart. So you have some basic colors here, and here is your empty chart with grid lines, and you can zoom in and zoom out. I will just go for this zoom. And let's just quickly go through basic things. They're not really complicated. You can probably figure it out yourself, but let's just quickly go through it. So you have basic colors here, like I said. If you want to just draw any stitches, then you choose a color and you just click and you can drag on your grid, and you can add colors here. And these are pretty much probably all the DMC colors, and just so you know, 310 is DMC black. I'm gonna just add it. When you click here on that little palette, you can remove also colors that you have on your grids. For example, I'm not gonna use this green, so I'm just gonna remove it, and it's not here anymore. Here you can go to your charts, save changes, scroll, so you just move around, but I don't really use that because I just scroll with my touchpad. You can zoom in or out as I showed you. You can progress track, so you can use a row counter, but I don't really use it. It's confusing for me because I don't stitch in rows, but anyway, we are not for this today. We are for making a pattern. And you can download the chart, I will show you this later. And here is a pencil, so your basic tool for drawing your design. And here is lines, so it's kind of like a backstitch. If you want to add, for example, outline to something, you use this. I don't know if you can see it, I will just zoom in. So if you want outline, you can use this draw lines tool. You can also go diagonally, and you can use half stitch or quarter stitch, but these are only for premium accounts, so you can't really use it if you don't have premium. If you want to remove these you just click on them, which is kind of annoying because if you want to, for example, draw here, you can't really click here and drag it to here, because if you click here and try to drag it, then you will just remove what was there. So you just have to kind of start in the middle. So it's kind of annoying, but once you get used to it, it goes smoothly. But you just have to remember that if you click here, then it will just remove the whole line. Alright, so we have pretty much basic things covered. So now I'm just gonna show you other things that you can do here. So here is the selection tool. So I click this, and now you can, as it says, select parts of your design. So I'm gonna select what I just drew, and what pops up is other options that you have. So you can copy it, you can crop, add borders, or clear, and you have some more options, but it's only for premium, so I will show it to you later. But for now, let's just see what it does. So let's say we want to add borders, and because my color that was picked here was purple, it added a purple border here. So let's just select it again. We can also copy it, so I'm gonna copy it, and when you have it copied, you just right click wherever you want to paste it, and you can, like I said, just paste the whole thing. And you also, another option that you have is clear, so it just disappears. And as you've seen, you can also crop, so the whole grid will just be the size of your selected area. So when I crop it, it's just it, like I said. So I'm gonna undo it. And other things that you can do when you right click is add a column or add a row. So for example, if I had a design like here, and I would just like to insert a row here, but I don't want to move everything that I made, then I can just click here and click add one column, right? Or if I want multiple, then I just click add multiple columns, but let's say add one column, right? And I have one column here. I can also delete it, so I just right click on a row that I want to delete, and I delete it. And maybe you noticed that there was a line here, and when I deleted a column, this line was part of it, so it disappeared. But when I added the column, it kind of made it longer. When I add one row below, it just lengthens all the lines that I had drawn. But if I delete the row, it just all disappears. I don't know if it makes sense. For me, it's kind of weird. When I noticed it, I was a little bit confused that it works like that. But just remember that if you delete any rows or columns, then just make sure you remember about drawing all these lines again. That's pretty much it. And maybe you noticed that there is no moving option. So when I select something that I want to move, there is not really moving option. So I want to just show you how I go about moving things here. So let's say I want to move this K letter 2 stitches to the right. So what I would do is I would select 2 stitches more on the left. So if I want to, like I said, move it 2 stitches to the right, then I select it with 2 additional columns on the left. So then I just copy it, and when I paste it, I will also paste these 2 columns, empty columns that I have here. So I will just paste it when my letter K starts. And as you've seen, it all moved to the right, except these lines didn't move, because maybe you noticed already that they don't really act like normal stitches that you have here. I don't know why they made it like this, but they're just kind of weird. So I will just clear everything now, and I will just try making something more useful. So I will make a text, let's say how to make a pattern. So I'm just gonna draw some letters. And when I make text, then instead of drawing letters on and on again, I just copy letters that I already drawn. And when you do simple letters like this, maybe it's not that important, but if you do some more complicated lettering, then it really comes in handy that you can copy them. And I don't really worry about making it all centered, because I will just move the text to make it centered once I figure out how wide all the rows will be. And sometimes when I start a new row and I have big letters and I don't really want to count how tall they are because there's a big chance of miscalculating it, then I also copy a letter, and then I don't really worry about what letter it is. Here I only have 5 stitches tall letters, but if I have, let's say, 15 stitches high letters, then it will be more complicated to just count how many stitches there are. So what I would do is I would copy a letter. Like I said, I want to make how to make a pattern text, but I don't have P here, so I will just go and copy some random letter like this A, and I will gonna paste it in a new row, and I will just use it as a guide on how tall my letter should be. So I will just make a P out of it. Making it like this, you just make sure the letters are the same. So if you have T, it's not a different T every single time you use it, so it makes it more consistent. It just kind of looks more like you used a font. So I made this text, and you see that it's not all centered. So as you can see, they all start at the same point. So the difference between their length is here at the end. So here I have 7 empty columns, so I have to move this line to the right by half of it, so 3.5, but we can't move it by half, so I will just move it by 3 stitches to the right. So I will just select it like I did earlier with 3 stitches, because this is how much I want to move it to the right. So I will copy it and I will paste it where my text starts now, and it's centered. And here I have 5 stitches, so I will move it by, let's say, 2 to the right. So I will select it with 2 additional columns, I will copy it, and I will paste it, and it's more or less centered. And now let's say I want to make a border, so I will use, for example, pink, and I will make, I don't know, something simple, maybe some weird design like this, and I will go ahead and copy it, and I will just paste it here, and I will just keep pasting it until it's long enough. I want to have the same border at the bottom, so I'm gonna copy it and paste it at the bottom, and I'm gonna just add a simple line here. Let's say I made a mistake here, so you can go ahead and just select it and clear it, but you can also use a white color just to kind of erase it. So when I make small mistakes like this, I just go over it with white color, and that's it. And obviously you can add some more details. When you are finished, then you can just select it and crop it, and you have your design cropped, and you know how many stitches you have. And one thing that I would recommend that I didn't do during that is to title your design. So I will title mine how to make a pattern. You can save it to folder. I don't have any folders for now, and you want to save it, because if you don't save changes, then Stitch Fiddle doesn't save them for you. So if you, for example, accidentally close the tab on your browser, then it's lost. So I would just really recommend to name your pattern at the very beginning and then save it from time to time. As you can see, I didn't use all the colors that are here, so I will just go and remove all the colors that I didn't use. There is also option for replacing a color. So let's say I don't really like this yellow and I want to replace it with some purple. So I will first add a purple color that I like, and then I will go to my color palette and I will remove yellow, and then it's gonna ask me what color I want to replace it with. So I'll go ahead and choose my purple, and it changes it to purple. So now let's go and try to download the design. So we can print it, but it's pretty much the same. So let's go and check what download option we have. What you can do here is you can download a PDF or a PNG, and all the other options are premium. So let's just quickly see what PDF will look like. So you just check a paper size and the margin, and also you don't really have any options here for not premium. And when it comes to grid lines, you can't change them. Here you choose a chart size. By default it's medium, but it's gonna divide it to 2 pages. So what I do always is I choose one single page. So for small designs like this, when it's, let's say, squeezed into one single page, it's still really readable, and for me it's a lot more convenient to have it on one single page. So I don't use these small medium options. I will just always check one single page. As I said, for small designs, if you do something bigger that will not be very readable squeezed into one page, then it's a whole different story. But for small designs like this, I just want single page. And you don't have any options to use symbols, so yeah, that's it. You can use only colors, and you click apply and it downloads automatically. You don't have to click it. So I'll just open it. And for some reason, first you have a title of your design and your legend with colors, and on the second page you have your design. And as I said, you have the other option, a PNG file. You can choose where do you want your legends to be. So if you, for example, make it for someone else, you might not want to have the legend here because it's not very appealing. You can do a legend yourself and you can then choose no legend, so it will be only your chart, but I will choose at the bottom so you can see how it looks. I will go ahead and click apply again, and it downloaded automatically, and it's a PNG now, and it's just a picture with my design. It always have watermark designed with Stitch Fiddle, and here's the legend. I would prefer some table or something like this, or something with color names, not only numbers. So if you choose no legend, it won't be here, it will be only your design. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the normal, not premium account. So I will just switch to my premium account, and I will show you what you can do when you have a premium account. Alright, so now I'm on my regular premium account, and I prepared a simple border and a simple text so I can show you what you can also use it for. So I'm gonna show you these premium options that I couldn't use on non-premium account. So for example, there is a really easy way to make a consistent border. I'm just gonna copy what I already prepared and I'm gonna paste it under my design. I want it to be symmetrical, so I will just select it again, and now I can mirror things. So I will just gonna go and mirror it vertical. As you can see, now it's a nice symmetrical border. And what you can also do is you can just copy a small part, let's say, and I'm gonna paste it here, and I'm gonna select it again, and I'm gonna use the rotate right option, and like this I can make a border all around my design. Let's say I want to change the fiddle word to a different color. I will just use fill option. So you choose a color that you want to change this text to, and you right click and you just choose fill with option. And now if I change my mind, then I can replace the color like I did earlier. So let's say I want to replace this pink with, I don't know, blue, and only this word obviously changes. Now also in color palette you have more actions here, so you can remove unused colors. So I will go ahead and do that, and you can change symbols. So for now I don't use any symbols here, but if you want to change it and you want to also have symbols when you, for example, print your design or anything, you can choose colors and symbols, and you can change symbols. They assign some symbols by default, but if you don't like them, then you can obviously change them, and now your design has symbols. Also, when you have a premium account, you can change grid. So by default it's this like a regular, I would say, grid, but you can change it. You go to chart settings, title, layout, and you choose grid, and you have some options here. So you have default, like I said, default without highlights, so it's only like a simple, like it says, default without highlights, and you have best for printing, so it's more like contrasted, high contrast, hide grid lines. I usually go for this default because it's the best, except when I do something with black background. For example, if I want to stitch it on black canvas, then I use high contrast. When I use black background, they're very like in your face visible, but when I go ahead and choose high contrast, they're less visible, so they're kind of like a normal default grid. And let's say you want to download it, and so you can make it an image, but you have more options like JPG and GIF and vector picture, and you have more document options, and you can choose here if you want to have colors and symbols, on only colors and only symbols. You can edit grid lines, you can change size to whatever you want now, and you can check margin, choose margin, and it prints just like I showed you already, but without this little note, stitchfiddle.com and so on. So you can use it when you want to sell your designs or something like this, or you just don't want this little text added. Now another cool thing is, let's say I have this design but I'm not sure about the border, I have a different idea for the border. What you can do is you can select the text, and you have new chart from selection options here, so I will choose that. And now I have a copy of Stitch Fiddle, a copy of my previous design here, and you can add columns, for example 10 columns. And you can draw a different outline if you want. And I think that's it. So now I will also show you that in my charts I have all the things that I made. As you can see, some designs I have like copied because I wasn't sure if I want letters to be capitalized or not. So yeah, I can go back to wherever I created and change it, or wherever, or just print it. So yeah, I have all my designs saved. And yeah, I think that's it. If you have any questions about the tool, then leave it in the comments. I will try to answer it. Alright, that's it. I hope you found it useful. If so, then make sure to click the thumbs up. And this is really everything that I know about this tool, but if you have some tips, then make sure to leave the comments below for others and for me to try it. And for more cross-stitch and also sewing related content, consider subscribing. And I think that's it for today, so see you in the next one. Bye!